Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day or evening it is for you. I'm delighted to see you. Welcome to the Dr. Geneva Speaks live show. We've got a great topic this morning, but what I want to first do is find out who is with us. Please drop your names. Hey there, Damonson and Jay and the gal girl, Alvia, Sandy, Marina, Adrian. Ooh, hello, everyone. Just love being here. Let me know where you're watching from. And I also got to know about the weather. What's the weather like where you are? Here in Detroit, I think I can say maybe spring is here. They say what? April showers bring May flowers. We've had showers and thunderstorms, and a little bit of snow. So I don't know what we're going to get in May, but whatever it is, it's here. The weather, oh my gosh, it's just wonderful. Hey, Ladonia. Hi, Rosalind, Donna, Robbie, US, all of you. We're going to have a great conversation today. It's something that, particularly if you're a woman and you're over 40, you need to be here in this conversation. So let me just find out. Hey, Anna Rose, was that Anna? And Clue Girl, how you doing? Anna, I miss you too. Anna is one of the leaders at the Michigan Women's Commission. I miss her so much. Dr. Trin calling it thunderstorms. Okay, figured that. Whenever you call in, it's weather that makes us sit up and notice. How you doing, Dr. Trin? You see, I'm back here. I haven't gone anywhere. Thank you so much for all your encouragement, Dr. Trin. And Clue Girl, I hope things are going well with you. And again, thank you for your questions. As you know, we always try to be responsive to those questions. In this topic that we're talking about today, I have gotten so much on. So many people are talking about it. Oprah Winfrey's talking about it. Our own governor in Michigan. For those of you who are outside of Michigan, we've got an awesome governor, and Gretchen Whitmer has been talking about it with Halle Berry. And so I know just the right people to bring on for this conversation. So I said I had to bring it to you. I also wrote a LinkedIn newsletter article on it. So go check that out. It's already, if you Google it, it's already on page 1 these days of Google. So it's all about menopause. It's a leadership issue. And how we doing? Oh, look at y'all. Y'all just coming on in. Okay. We need to get started because I have some terrific guests here. And I want to get started. 6,000 women every single day. That's how many women enter menopause in the US alone. And many of them, they're leading companies, managing teams, shaping communities. Yet, while we show up and deliver, symptoms like brain fog, anxiety, mood swings, and sleepless nights show up too. And here's the truth. We don't say this enough. Menopause isn't just personal, it's professional. Studies show that it can cut a woman's earnings by as much as 30%. Now, that's not a hot flash. That's a leadership crisis. And it's one that too many women are navigating alone in silence. Well, that's why we're here, to speak the truth, to shift the culture, to name what's been unnamed. This is the menopause conversation every woman over 40 needs to hear. And just so you know, I've also put together a free resource guide called Leading Through the Fall. It's something I created to support women who are navigating menopause at work. And so if you like it, you'll find the link in the comments. There's a QR code if you want to check it out. So, if this is your first time joining me, well, welcome. I'm so delighted to see you. I'm Dr. Geneva, speaker strategist and mentor to high achieving women over 50. And I created this space to bring truth, tools, and transformation to women navigating what's next in life and leadership. We're here every Wednesday at 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're watching live, please feel free to drop a question in or a comment in the chat. We are keeping an eye on it. And if time allows, we're going to get to your questions and have a brief Q&A near the end. And if you're on catching the replay, hi, I see you too. Please leave a comment, share your thoughts, and let us know what resonated in this conversation. Today, I've invited three extraordinary women to help lead this long overdue conversation on menopause, leadership, and reinvention. First, let me introduce Cheryl Bergman, Executive Director of the Michigan Women's Commission. Cheryl is a nationally recognized advocate for gender equity and economic justice. She's one of the bold voices calling for workplace policies that support women in midlife and beyond. And when I was on the Women's Commission as its chair, Cheryl, I couldn't do anything without her. She's a powerhouse, and I'm delighted she's with us today. How you doing, Cheryl?
Good. Thank you for having me, Geneva.
Absolutely. And next, Dr. Elena Alawa, founder of True Health Solutions Clinic. She's a physician specializing in functional medicine, and she's passionate about helping women and men, from what I understand the full spectrum of hormone health, from brain function to burnout. Dr. Elena, it's such a pleasure.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Geneva, for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
We
Good morning,
are
Cheryl.
happy to have you here with us. And rounding out our panel is the dynamic Satori Shakoor, storyteller, performer, and founder of the Secret Society of Twisted Storytellers. Satori brings her signature honesty and brilliance to the emotional and creative dimensions of menopause and what it means to reimagine identity in midlife with her confessions of a menopausal femme fatale brought to the stage. How you doing, Satori?
Very well. Thank you so much for having me with this illustrious panel of women. It's exciting. It's exciting.
Thank you. Well, we're all together and set. And for those of you on TikTok, I hope if you're listening to us, you can hear us. But you can always jump on YouTube or LinkedIn if you want to see us live. So let's get started with the basics. And I'm going to start with you, Dr. Lane. What's actually happening to our bodies during perimenopause and menopause? And how do these changes, these hormone changes, lead to things like brain fog, hot flashes, or mood swings?
All right, well, that's a loaded question. How long do you have? So perimenopause is literally a true midlife crisis. Not because women just overnight want to buy an expensive car or, a fancy trinket, but just because it's really plunging them into chaos. So it feels like the rug has been taken out from under their feet, and the life that they knew and they were accustomed to is no longer there. They don't recognize themselves. They don't feel like themselves. The most common symptoms that present in perimenopause that nobody really thinks it's related to fluctuations in hormones are fatigue, and sleep disturbances.
Mhm.
Women wake up at 3, 4 a.m., unable to go back to sleep. This disrupts their entire well being and performance the next day. So, just like you said, this is not just personal, it's really affecting interaction with family members, with coworkers, social environment and activities are starting to decline. Women are seeking more solitude, just regressing at a time when we should feel our best, right?
Mhm.
Other symptoms that women may experience are the classical that everybody is familiar with, hot flashes and night sweats. But beyond that, the fluctuations in our hormones are creating these symptoms. To be technical, just a little bit,
Okay.
progesterone starts declining from around the age of 35,
All right.
and estrogen starts declining from around the age of 40. So until a woman
Good.
reaches full menopause, which means complete cessation of menstrual periods, well, it could be anywhere between, 1, 2 years to maybe 15 or 20 years. So that's a very long transition period to
Yes.
spend in perimenopause and feel miserable. uh,
Mhm.
Brain
Yes.
fog, motivation, lack or decline in libido, weird symptoms that you can't quite describe or put your finger on, like odd smells,
Mm.
sensitivity to smells, certain rashes that come and go or persist in areas where you haven't really been in touch with any plant, or it's not really a food sensitivity skin reaction, and these are unexplained, and women go to the doctor, and unfortunately they're placed on unnecessary medications, because if we are to recognize that these are symptoms of perimenopause, we should just go back to look at hormone levels and how
Mhm.
we can support reestablish that balance between estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, DHEA, things that used to be in optimal or even normal levels before the age of 35. Of
Yes.
course, stress in the society also matters, and that can augment this difference and fluctuation in our hormones. So
Wow.
these days, we don't have the tiger running after us. We're not really hunting for food, but it's a different kind of stress.
Yeah.
And sleep disturbances that occur with perimenopause can accentuate this
Mhm.
stress, that it's going to further augment the fluctuations in the
Mhm.
hormones.
And I'm so delighted that we're talking about this because I remember when I had perimenopause and didn't know I had it. I didn't know anything about it. My mom didn't talk to me much at all about menopause, and neither did many women that I could remember, and definitely did not say anything about perimenopause. So I was going through, later on, I found out what I was in and what had happened. But when you don't know the symptoms or know when you could possibly be in it, that makes life kind of difficult because you attribute what's going on to some other things.
Absolutely. Especially depressive symptoms or anxiety, irritability,
Mhm.
those are very common with hormone fluctuations of perimenopause. And again, regretfully, women are seen and treated for that X symptom rather than looking for the root causes of those
Mhm.
symptoms.
Mhm.
And unnecessarily, mental health decline is being addressed with antidepressives and anxiolytics, when in reality, it's perimenopause responsible for these symptoms.
Mhm. Yeah, I just thought it was my husband getting on my nerve or
Of
something.
course, it's better to blame someone else.
That's right. I had no idea. So, Cheryl, I want to ask you because of your work, in particular with the Women's Commission, what are the biggest gaps that you see when it comes to supporting women at work during menopause? What's missing, and what do we need to do to fix it?
Sure. So, as you know, Dr. Geneva, the commission, the Michigan Women's Commission, we released a menopause in the workplace survey last year. and we're still releasing that survey to women, and anyone actually can take it. And we have found that our survey results so far are tracking with the Mayo Clinic survey from 2023, which was a national survey, that 60% of women know nothing about menopause or perimenopause for sure. I know when I asked my mom when I was starting to have symptoms, and she said, "Oh, it was nothing. I don't even remember." You know, my dad's behind her, like rolling his eyes and shaking his head. So I hear you, but 60% of women don't know anything still today. And 79% of our respondents are saying that they would like to see a menopause supports in the workplace.
Okay.
And the top things that they're listing so far from our respondents are a menopause champion in the workplace.
Okay.
So I would, when we're done with all of we're doing these conversations, the Women's Commission around the state, and I know we'll talk about that in a few minutes. And our goal is at the end of this to create a report with our survey data and what we're learning from the conversations to make recommendations to employers and to policymakers on how to make this natural life transition help women thrive during it. And so a couple of things that they're saying in the workplace, they'd like a menopause champion. So someone they can go to and say, look, I didn't sleep last night and my manager's on my butt about, getting this done. And I can't, that kind of thing. Flexible and remote work is the next thing, and ventilation and cooling. Those have been the top 3 things that our survey respondents are telling us right now.
Telling us, yeah. That's important. I'm glad you're doing that survey because, as you said, so many women don't either know what's going on, don't know about menopause, and don't know where to go to talk, and don't know what to ask for. So as you go around and get this information, it's quite critical. And you're having another conversation in a couple of weeks, right?
Yes. We launched the conversations on March 12th with Governor Whitmer and Halle Berry. As you mentioned, Halle Berry's been using her platform to talk about menopause, the need for education and research. And so we were so fortunate to have her in Michigan to talk about menopause and midlife women's health. And then we just did on April 16th in Lansing, we launched our second conversation, and Dr. Alawa was on the panel for that conversation, over 100 women. We didn't have enough time to get to all of their questions.
Sure.
And on May 5th.
Coming in here too.
What?
And the questions are coming in here too.
Yeah. And then on May 5th, come to one of our conversations. May 5th, we'll be in Detroit at Fellowship Church. And we're partnering with First Lady Monica Anthony at the Fellowship Church to host this conversation. And Satori will be on the panel in Detroit.
We love
along with some other doctors and amazing women.
That's going to be an exciting conversation. We're going to make sure that we have information for you. And again, let's talk about it. And speaking of talking about it, Satori, you've told such powerful stories, particularly through your on stage presence and creative genius in Confessions of a Menopausal Femme Fatale. What are some of the emotional shifts? Let's get into that women go through during this time, and how can we start seeing this as more of a movement, a moment of power rather than something to hide?
Well, everything that Dr. Elena described, I'm the poster child for. It happened. So for 23 years, I have been waiting for this conversation. Not only have I been waiting, I have been actively writing about it. I didn't know it was going to turn into a film, and we're looking for a release next month, May. But I was left. I mean, can you imagine what we don't know now? 23 years ago, there was zero conversation. I was in the dark. I was going through what I thought was an identity crisis. I built my life to age 40 43 years old, and I thought I knew who I was. And then all of a sudden, I don't know who I am. I'm waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning consistently. So I had to surrender to, okay, I guess I'm 3 o'clock in the morning. The hot flashes, the mood swings. I didn't know who to turn to, and whomever I did turn to, they didn't remember. They were too young, even though they were way older than me. And then, of course, there was the stigma and the taboos that we faced at that time, because women were trying, they had books out like, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. So there were a lot of self-help books on how to get a man, how to get married. So,
Right.
so if you want to get married and you want a man, you better be perky, you better be juicy, you better be relevant,
Right. And
and
always on, looking
always
good.
on. So there was an initiative, there was a reason to hide your age, to not come out as the powerful woman that you really are, all of the things that you've learned. So all of these symptoms, all of these things were a distraction. And so I'm excited, because if we know what is going on with our bodies and what's going on with ourselves, we can be responsible for it. We can know that when we're getting ready to end a relationship, because this was very disruptive to long time relationships. Trying to get a man at 40 and you're having mood swings, and I don't want a man, and I'm dry, and why, it's just kind of, so if you know you're going through these things, and there are qualified, because even doctors, a lot of doctors don't know. They don't get the training, so they can't address it. So it's like this whole 6 million women, like you said, every day enter into some stage of menopause, and we're the largest demographic of women in the United States. Can you imagine? The largest demographic of women in the United States are in some stage of menopause, and 60% don't even know that it's occurring. So we're having issues on the workplace. We don't know how to come tell our supervisors, our management, what's going on with us. So we don't get that kind of support. We're just floating around here in the dark. And so I wanted to write about it. I wanted to come out, tell my story, taboo bust, stigma replace, and have us show up powerfully. Because if we can address the symptoms, the distraction that the symptoms become, then we can really embrace the opportunity that menopause provides us. This stage of life provides us. We're the most powerful group of women. Look who's on your panel. Look who ran for president. Look who are governors of our states. Look who runs our company, raises our grandchildren. Look at the key women. And all of us are connected to a multitude of relationships. And if we don't understand what's going on with us, we can be those relationships, we can really be devastating to those relationships.
Right.
I've encountered a lot of men on this journey who, they're so appreciative of the conversation, because they're struggling with, my wife wants the covers off, I want the covers on. Why is she mad at me? The young men are saying, what's wrong with my moms?
Right.
We used to be cool. Clash I had with my mother, because she was 50, I was 14. And that's part of my movie, that she's 50 and I'm 14. I'm coming into perkiness, and she's leaving perkiness. The clash, the clash. And I don't remember, but I remember I didn't know what she was going through. She just turned into Dracula and some kind of monster all of a sudden. It's like, where's our relationship? Where's this mom I used to know? And so menopause goes on for years and years. Okay.
And that's an interesting aspect of what we go through, that this isn't just a blip on the screen or a week in the life of. This is a long-term experience that we go through.
And it sets the tone for our relationships. And it sets the tone for how we see ourselves. So I'm so excited that this conversation is being brought. I'm very proud and very honored to know Cheryl, who is committed. You could see her passion in every word she writes.
Absolutely.
And she wants to set Michigan up as the prototype for the whole world to come out wherever you are, menopausal women, embrace your power, address the symptoms, alleviate these distractions and symptoms, and own who you are and make your contribution. You're not going to be these grandmothers in a rocking chair with some glasses on the tip of your nose. You are going to be changing the world, which is
That's right.
what we're here to do. I mean, we've earned it. We've
That's right.
earned this experience of life. So
And that's the conversation that is so critical for us to have as we're talking about things like menopause.
Yes.
That as we're aging, getting into our 40s, 50s, 60s, that rather than what we've been told in the past, that once you hit that 50, you've lived that half a century, it's a decline.
Right.
But that's not the truth. That's not the truth. That's a lie. That is for us the opportunity to be in our best, to really do those things that we've dreamed about. Because one of the reasons is because we know a lot more. And we really can shape and do what it is that we want to do and what it is we've dreamed about. And that's why understanding menopause is so critical, because it's going to be with you in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and I'm hearing beyond that post-menopausal era. And so
it doesn't have to run your life.
That's right.
If we know more and we have the medical attention that is necessary, and we can alleviate some of these symptoms and address these hormonal shifts, as Dr. Elena was talking about, and have a balance in our lives, then we can really celebrate ourselves and each other. Can you imagine 6 million women as a support group every day? It grows, your support group grows, and you can go to anyone and have these kinds of conversations. But there's also conversations that we're not having, which my movie talks about. We have fibroids, we have postpartum depression, we have all kinds of things that are attached to women and how women are supposed to be. So we don't come out and say what our issues are. We're supposed to be perfect mothers. We're supposed to be, and if we don't live up to that, we don't have anyone to talk to. So my movie is not only there to come out with my story and to try to bust some of these taboos and stigmas, but also to embrace the power.
Yes.
To know that the things that I am building now, I never could have built them when I was younger. It took this long, this much experience, this much confidence, this much embracing of my own power and understanding I can do this because I've done it before.
Absolutely.
And before and before.
And it's so inspirational and informative. And, I want to also talk about what I know a lot of women say to me, and I know they feel, especially in leadership roles, whether it's managing teams, running a business, producing a show, leading a commission, running a medical practice, but you're in these leadership roles. And that is this pressure to push through and not talk about what you're going through. What kinds of advice would you have for women who feel that they really have to hide their symptoms? What does that look like, do you think, Cheryl?
That's a great question, because just personally, when I was in the having my worst symptoms of perimenopause, and right, like the 2 years right before I paused, actually was awful. And I happened to be in one of the most high pressured, critical jobs that I was doing in those 2 years. And I had an incredible woman boss. And honestly, I didn't speak up. I pushed through. And I know now that I could have. I know now I could have spoken up. And there were a few times that I was I couldn't do it. So I had to take a few days off because I absolutely could not function. And, heavy, painful periods and unexpected bleeds and all of that, which, could lead to a big embarrassment. And it was terrifying at times.
Mhm.
And so that's why, we've got to talk about it, and we've got to change the policies, and we've got to have those menopause champions in the workplace. And I know I could have gone and talked to this incredible woman that I had as a leader at the time, but I just didn't, because ingrained in me was the culture of, I just keep going, I can do anything. And I don't want women to go through that.
Yeah.
And anymore. We just need to
Yes.
talk about it, talk to each other.
Absolutely. Dr. Elena, do you have any advice for us as we push through and are silent and just move on?
Absolutely. I don't agree with bearing down and marching through, because ultimately, that person who follows this scenario is the one to suffer, and her family, as well as work interactions. I have a lot of women who are in high power positions at work who need to take a step down or decline. A promotion because
Mhm.
they don't feel that they can function at the level that is expected of them. So we need to break the stigma. And I think that in doing so, we need to involve and encourage more males to attend
Okay.
these conversations,
Okay.
because improving ourselves is one thing, but allowing others to understand, even though they will never identify with the symptoms that we are experiencing. Guys will never feel what we do, they will never
Mhm.
walk in our shoes. But they do have a level of compassion that, with more education, is actually helping the women seek help.
Mhm.
Maybe
Mhm.
she's bearing through because this was the culture that she grew up in. She was taught to never admit, just hide and perform the best you can. But if a male partner, a male friend, is able to see these changes in her, maybe that welcomes open discussion and encourages her to seek help. Help is
Mhm.
there. In this day and age, literally suffering is optional.
And
We
and
have
when you say help is there, where is there?
through physicians who are trained to understand the intricacies of hormones in our body
Okay.
and how they literally drive our existence.
Mhm.
So to ignore them and apply a medication for every symptom is not the way to treat the wholesome of a woman's overall body and physiology. So just
Now you're
acknowledging
very enlightened, Dr. Elena. Are most and many physicians as enlightened as you are, and we can go, so you telling me we can go talk to our doctors?
okay, you put me in a very difficult position, but here's the
No, I
reality.
don't want to. I want you to candidly ask us, because I know there are women who are listening to that who are saying, go talk to my doctor, who might not believe that or might not feel comfortable doing that.
And that is true. That is the reality of what
Mhm.
women are going through. They go
Mhm.
to their doctors, to their primary care physicians and gynecologists, and their symptoms are overlooked, disregarded,
Mhm.
dismissed, and they feel not heard. And therefore, they regress even more because there's nothing that they can do, or they end up on 5, 6, 7 different medications to
Yeah.
treat each individual symptom.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, to be the devil's advocate, uh,
Mhm.
in medical school and residency for primary care physicians and gynecologists, women's health there's no emphasis on women's health. So gynecologists are literally surgeons. Even
Mhm.
I, as internal medicine trained, I had 1 month rotation of gynecology, which in fact was more obstetrics and gynonc. So we were in surgery and we were helping deliver children.
So
There
you're
is
saying from the training
from the training,
of medical professionals,
correct.
a
We need
lot
to
of
start there.
feminine health and issues aren't really in the mix.
You are correct.
Okay.
We need training to be introduced in medical school.
Mhm.
Everybody, but especially primary care, gynecologists, internal medicine physicians, the ones on the forefront that will meet a patient with the initial symptoms,
Yes.
to recognize through the training that they received that these are symptoms of peri or menopause.
Okay. All right.
I think that's where we can start to help women, right? From the seed. We plant the seed and then the plant grows, but we need to support it.
All right. I really appreciate you sharing that with us, Dr. Elena, because that's a
Of
real
course.
deal issue. And I understand from Cheryl that we have some information where women can find menopause certified doctors because they're now such a thing, and which I guess is new. And so that's in the comment. That link is in the comment. So thank you for that. Satori, will you weigh in on this this thing that happens where we are pressured, or we feel we're pressured to push through, not talk, be silent? What advice do you have?
Well, you often hear women say very proudly, just keep it moving. I just kept it moving. Oh, I just had a mastectomy. I just kept it moving, girl. Just it's something that we're socialized to do because we're women and we're pack horses and we're, what do you call them? Uh, we keep, we're the support, so we have to keep ourselves. But I agree that we need to talk, we need to listen, we need to share, make requests, and then and make demands. And I would encourage people, women, to have conversations, to be leaders in their circles, start a conversation about
Okay.
because I've done the experiment. I've been doing these experiments just in a family gathering. I'll play a little excerpt from my film, and then women are chomping at the bit to share. Oh my God, and then somebody else will weigh in. And so or when I have talkbacks, women, you can't get them out of the theater because they had no outlet. There was
Exactly.
no opportunities to share, so they move in suffering in silence. So I encourage anyone listening, anyone who's listening, to tell other women, just bring up the conversations in your circles. See what other women have to say. Keep the conversation alive, spread it, let it be known, and then I think people will, medical professionals will be inspired to take this on as a specialty or as something that they present in medical school, and you can become a menopause expert. Because if we live long enough, we will enter this stage of life and patients, and you don't have enough doctors to welcome the patients.
Right, which is the thing, Satori. We want to be in that stage of life because we want to keep living. So the bottom line is, if you want to keep living and make it to your 40s, 50s, and 60s,
With a
you
quality of
are
life.
And living well.
right, and you are a woman, you're going to be in menopause.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right. I really appreciate that. Now, also share a little bit about what you do. So, what do you all do? You're standing up. You're giving a speech, or you're performing on the stage, or you're speaking at a medical convention, or you have a room full of patients, and you get boom, that hot flash, or you feel all of a sudden very super anxious, or the frozen shoulder that I found out was one of the symptoms. What do you do? Just some quick.
I own it. Oh, I'm having a hot flash. Where's my fan? Ooh. And then, maybe there's laughter. Or you can see women bringing out their fans in the dead of winter. You can tell. Now I know. Oh, look at the fans. I'm no longer ashamed to have my body function exactly the way it's supposed to. I'm not ashamed. I mean, I used to be embarrassed. I'd be on a date and sweating like a pig, and the guy is looking at me over dinner. I just feel so.
Mhm.
But now I just own. I
Mhm.
know who I am now. I embrace who
So
I
you
am.
just pull
Okay.
out that fan, huh?
Yes. Yes.
Right.
It used to
Yes.
be
And
dangerous.
make a thing of it. Okay.
I,
Any other?
I just let it happen, and then
Mhm.
I admit that I'm having it. Or
Mhm.
if your eyelash is falling off, oh, am I? And then you can relax. Other people can relax, and
Right.
that's
Yeah.
just training as a comedian. You state
Yes.
the obvious so that people
And then
don't sit
laugh at
there
yourself.
and
Yeah.
laugh. Humor is
Right.
humor is 50% of
Humor.
it.
Humor works.
Yeah.
Cheryl or Dr. Elena, what do you do?
Yeah, I would just say when you come to one of our conversations, our giveaway is a fan. So you will get your own fan to take home with you and use. But I absolutely agree with you, Satori. I am not afraid anymore. And honestly, the groups that I'm talking to are generally women, almost always. So it's a little easier um, to admit what's going on in front of a group of women. So,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
humor,
Yes, that humor. And so when we come to the event on Monday, May the 4th at
yes,
Fellowship Chapel,
May the 5th.
uh, 5th, May
Yes,
the 5th,
yes,
Monday,
yeah,
first Monday in May,
yes,
at
I believe
Fellowship
so.
Chapel in Detroit, because we have a
Yes,
worldwide audience. So we're in Detroit. Um, you'll get a fan.
you will get a fan.
Get a fan. Like
And they're heavy
you
duty.
see how
Yes,
close my fan is, right? Y'all see
they're,
that, right?
they're heavy duty. They work well. They move the air well.
Right, right. Dr. Elena, what about you?
I,
What advice?
I completely agree with Satori. Just own
Mhm.
it. There's no reason to be ashamed
Own it.
of a normal passage in life. It's a
Okay.
phase, but please seek help
Mhm.
because optimizing your hormones will improve the quality of your life. And
Mhm.
beyond the quality of your life, you have to think about the preventative measures that hormone
Mhm.
therapy can give you long term. Prevention
Mhm.
of cognitive decline, prevention of
Yeah.
your first heart attack, bone deterioration, losing muscle, bone mass, preventing osteoporosis,
Yes.
genitourinary health. If you want to live well, like you said, Dr. Geneva, we
Mhm.
need to seek help.
Okay.
Suffering is really optional, but owning what's happening with you, I think, is the first step because we're acknowledging a change in our lifestyle, in our symptoms, in the level of comfort and quality of our life. And that
Mhm.
should promote us further to seeking advice from someone who is trained in rendering the quality of your life better.
Mhm. So own it,
Own it.
embrace it,
Don't feel
and
ashamed. We
don't
need to
feel
we
ashamed.
need to break the stigma. There's no need
Break the
for that.
stigma. Okay. Now you mentioned hormone therapy, and
Mhm.
we always hear a lot about that. But what else helps? Are there lifestyle changes, or like with food, or stress, or movement, or exercise that can really make a difference? What else helps?
Of course, all of those things that you mentioned do
Okay.
help. Unfortunately, and this is something within your control to do. So, it motivates a woman to make those changes. But there's only so much that you can wish for sleep to occur,
Okay.
without reaching to sedatives, which I don't endorse and I don't condone.
Okay.
There's only so much that you can exercise. There's only so much that you can eradicate from your diet. Right? We don't live
Okay.
in a bubble. We need to live a little here and there. For
Hmm.
example, alcohol exacerbates hot flashes. Yes,
Okay.
reduce your alcohol intake, maybe take it completely out. But how many things you're going to take out of your diet to just, have optimal symptom control? And that
Mhm.
still doesn't give you the preventative measure of hormone therapy.
Okay. All right. So you you're an advocate of that, and women.
I am an advocate, and we need to
Okay.
also break the fear and the stigma that the WHI study in 2002 has brought and really caused a huge decline in quality of life and
Okay.
benefits for women.
Okay.
Hormones are not causing cancer.
Okay.
We need to break away and unlearn what has been taught or emphasized in media for so many years.
Mhm.
It's the actual hormone decline that is associated with increased risk of cancer. Now, cancer is
Mhm.
really multifactorial, and this is not the place or the time to go into a lot of details, but
Okay.
you need to seek help from a specialist who understands how to monitor, how to dose, how to optimize those hormones. So you do everything possible to minimize the effects of cancer development in the future.
Okay. Well, so Satori and what Cheryl, what do you all think in terms of, we've just heard about the hormone therapy. Please check with those menopause certified doctors to have more conversation about it. What other lifestyle changes can we make?
Well, for
You know,
me,
one thing.
I know. Go ahead, Cheryl.
Oh, I was just going to say one thing that I was always told, as you know, when with exercise, is for women, you don't want to bulk up, so use light weights and more repetitions. And now I understand that, especially at this stage of life, that heavier weights. I mean, that's just one thing I've changed, but I believed for so long, light weights, more repetitions, because we don't want to bulk up.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. Yes, that is absolutely true. We won't bulk up. Trust, we won't bulk up, and it's one of the best things that we can do in
Yes,
general for
in
longevity,
general.
and that's
Yeah,
resistance training.
yes.
So, Satori, what about you?
Well, like I said, I was a guinea pig in my own lab. So I was tracing my hot flashes because I was having a lot of them. Every
Mhm,
5 minutes, I was timing them. So I stopped drinking wine. Red wine would bring them on, hot sauce, spicy foods. And
Mhm.
matter of fact, I could make myself have a hot flash just by
mm,
having a stressful thought. So stress would bring them on. And if you don't know what's going on with you, you're not sleeping, all the symptoms, you will be stressful. And that will contribute to the hot flashes. I've always been a gym rat, and
mhm,
I started back running, and just running and breathing would, when I got back to the gym, I would go and relax, and that would cut down on the stress. I felt energized. The endorphins were flooding me, and then I just also I didn't take anything for symptoms because I wanted to write about it. I didn't
mhm.
couldn't afford hormone replacement therapy, and I'm afraid of pharmaceuticals and too many pills and things like that. And there were no qualified doctors like there are now. So this is a dream come true. It's like you can't imagine how excited I am. But yeah, I just studied my own self, what I'm putting in my body, what I'm
Mhm.
in my mind, and
Okay.
that was with the absence of qualified doctors to consult with. So I just became more in tune with myself and my body, and and experimented with adjustment. I think I
Mhm.
took evening primrose at the end because I couldn't
Okay.
take more of the hot flashes.
Okay. Okay. And that is such good advice, particularly as we're aging, as women over 40, women over 50, that the shift that must occur in terms of being much more intentional about what we do with our bodies, with our mind, with our spirit. That that's almost one of the rites of passage, I believe, for women over 50, women in midlife, that this intentionality that we need to get, this clarity,
Yeah.
and being very purposeful. And so your remedy of, really looking at your body, kind of figuring out, being your own doctor in terms of what triggers your hot flashes. I think
Well,
that's
I wouldn't say being my own doctor because I'm not qualified to be my own doctor, but I am definitely qualified to partner with the doctor and being in tune with my own body and the symptoms and my fears, because there's a psychological aspect like depression. All of these things compound. When you have this shift in your whole identity and you're losing you're losing testosterone and estrogen. It's a loss. It's like anything you grieve that you lose. And so the depression is compounded, the stress is compounded, and we're just piling on top and on top. No one to talk to, no resources, nothing.
Mhm.
It's a very terrifying time. So I'm excited that we're here now in our, and even now I'm thinking about when I went to the governor's mansion when they had the event there with Halle Berry. There were 3 or 4 doctors there, and it seemed like there was going to be this gap of about 20 years before the medical profession could even catch up with all the questions and the remedies that could be provided to women. I mean, if you only have 3 doctors, well, I'm exaggerating. This is hyperbole, but if you only have 3 doctors who are trained in menopause, and you've got millions
Uh-huh.
women. Didn't you say, Cheryl, that the website crashed?
Yes, after we did Dr. Elena joined us for a webinar like this.
Uh-huh.
And after the webinar, her website crashed because so many people went to seek her out.
Yes, please don't crash my website again.
No, we're gonna crash it. This is think about the impact you're creating, the difference you're making in so many women's lives. So we're gonna crash it. But we're gonna continue to have this conversation. I'm sorry.
I would also say be persistent with your doctor if they really stand for your own self-advocacy, because if they don't know and they dismiss you or they don't listen, still keep coming with the question, can you recommend, can you refer me, can you don't let up, because a lot of times we give our power away and give up on ourselves. And I say stand there until you get your answers. And Dr. Elena, please start a movement to create more doctors.
Yeah, that's clearly something that we need. And I'm so glad you brought that to the forefront. And again, remember, for those of you who are with us, and I see our comments are coming in, and that we have put information in the links regarding menopause certified doctors. And also Dr. Elena gave us an organization that we can contact. So again, we're building the resources and having the conversation. So I want to get a couple of questions that I know are coming in. We're getting a lot of thank you for this conversation. And I have so many folk on TikTok who are still on TikTok listening to the conversations, though they can't see you. And again, come join us on YouTube or on LinkedIn or on Facebook if you want to see us. But obviously you're hearing us because you're still here. Thank you for that. We have a comment, a lot of questions about love that you're bringing this conversation to life. My mother didn't share anything about menopause. And I know that hey, Renee, I had that same experience, that there was no real conversation about menopause. I think when I got my biggest understanding of it was from the musical. Remember? And it's still playing.
I was in Menopause.
Yes, right. See, I mean, that's why I love the work that you do. The Menopause, the musical. And when it came back to Detroit recently, I took my daughters to go see it. I just think it was a fantastic way. But that's really how I learned about it. And we have one of our viewers who is sharing, my family thought I needed to be committed to a mental facility.
Can I tell
Okay.
you, my grandmother told me when she was my age, approximately, that she was prescribed lithium. And for what she called described as her screaming meanies, it's the rage that we often feel as women in midlife. So luckily she didn't stay on it for long, but that's what she was prescribed.
Yes. And we have a comment also from Deborah who says it's a huge impact in the workplace. Women in the 50s are coming into their career peaks. That is absolutely true, and are stymied by their symptoms and by the stereotypes that hold women back. That's one of the things I want to do. I know our conversation is winding down, but I want to make sure that we talk about some of these myths or stereotypes. What do you see as the biggest myth that is out there about menopause and women at work or in the workplace?
I'll tell you one thing that I heard, and this was actually from someone is a friend who just made an offhand he made an offhand comment that, God, I hate when women hit 50 and over. They just feel like they can say whatever they want.
And they should at any age.
And we should, yeah, believe me, I came back at him, but
I know you did.
that's something out there. That's a feeling, all of a sudden we can't hold back. We're going to speak our truth. And that's hard for some people to take.
Right. That's one of the reasons I put together this guide. Again, I want to remind you all, Leading Through the Fog. And it's a short, quick guide. Give you some suggestions about things that you can say, ways that you can talk to your manager or your HR director, some resources that you can find, some tools that might help, like cooling fans, etc. So please get that free guide. There's a QR code. It'll be pinned in the comments. But all of this is part of having this conversation about menopause, more and more about it. And it's interesting when you Google menopause, and you know how it gives you the questions that people are asking. It's all about, what is menopause? What are the symptoms? When do I get it? Some very basic questions. And I thought that was very telling, because that's what people are searching for, this bottom line information. And you all have been giving a lot of that. So listen, as I don't want to leave without asking the question about, what would you say? This is your time to speak directly. You've been doing a lot of talking, been speaking, saying a lot of good stuff, but I would like you to speak directly to a woman who feels overwhelmed or uncertain about what's happening to her now. What's your message of hope for the season of life? Love to hear it. Can we start with you, Cheryl?
Sure. I think the hope is that we're having these conversations, and we have, for one, the Michigan Women's Commission, we are gathering the data and having the conversations around the state. We have the ear of our policymakers and our governor who asked the Women's Commission to drive. She wants Michigan to be a leader in women's midlife health policy and asked us to drive it. So we've got the ears of our policymakers. So I think there's hope there. And I think there's some hope for some real policy. There are other states that are introducing legislation right now around women's midlife health that are things that we in Michigan can consider as well. So I think there's hope for sure, and we're working at it every day.
Okay, thank you. Satori?
I would tell, and my daughter-in-law tell her, because she wanted to have lunch. Well, you're talking about this. I'm going to be going, and my girlfriend, she's 50, she's older than me. What would you say? And I would say everything that's going on with you is what's supposed to be going on with you at this stage of life. Seek some medical advice. It's not going to this perimenopausal stage is not going to last forever. And if you address these symptoms, what you're going to be able to be free to do is find your freedom, your power, your purpose. You are headed in the right direction. That's why I made my film. I want everybody to come see it and start telling stories in your circles, in your families. Just share your life. Be unashamed. Break that stigma. It's okay to be 50 because now 50 is the new 30 if you just need to be young looking, you know what I mean? But it's about what you've earned over your 40, 50 years, 60 years of living. It's all the power that you get to share, because at this stage, what you want to do is give. You're full of things to give and to share. So yeah, it's very hopeful. The only thing that was missing from hope before were these conversations, the support, the knowing that another woman or another 6 million women are going through the same thing as you. Once you know you're not alone, then hope is just a given.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for those words. I have thoroughly enjoyed our conversation, and Dr. Elena had a patient appointment, and it was just wonderful to have her and Cheryl and Satori with us today talking about this conversation. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's
Appreciate it.
keep the conversation going.
Absolutely. That's what we're going to do.
See you
And
on May 5th.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
See you then.
And
Satori's
Dr.
on the
Elena,
panel on May 5th. So you'll
I'm
get
sorry.
Satori's serving on the panel on May 5th as
Yes,
well.
absolutely. May 5th, Fellowship Chapel.
Yep.
And it's going to be another conversation. And Dr. Elena says, thank you for having me. And he looks forward to more discussions. Thank you, Cheryl and Satori. Love y'all.
Have a wonderful
Thank
day.
you.
Yes, love you, love you. Well, wasn't that just incredible? But I want to tell you, it's just the beginning. Just the beginning. Go get my free resource guide, Leading Through the Fog. I pulled together some real quick, helpful things for you regarding resources and tools and things you can say, and what is the bigger picture about menopause. And I hope you'll, take the time to get it. QR code, link in the comments. 6,000 women every day enter into menopause, and they can lose earnings, and it can have an impact on their workplace. It's a conversation we have to talk about. And it's not just a personal issue or just a health issue, it's a leadership issue. And it affects the workplace and our professional lives as well as our personal lives. That's why this conversation is so important, because we want to continue to live, right? We want to be in our 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and beyond, right? And so if we do want those things, the inevitability of it is that we will be in perimenopause and menopause through a significant part of our life. So we need to get educated, informed. We need to role model for our daughters and nieces and young girls. And we need to role model for ourselves. What are you going to do about this stage? Uh, Join the conversation. Let's be an advocate. Let's talk about it. I wrote an article for LinkedIn and I asked on this subject, and I asked the question: how many times have you been in a leadership meeting or at the workplace where the subject was menopause? Probably never. We got to change that one way or the other. We need to advocate for this phase of our lives, which all of us will go through. So I hope you've enjoyed the conversation. I'm going to see you next week, Wednesday, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time in the morning at Dr. Geneva Speaks Live. See you later.